Being good is a losing strategy. From day one, you were told that being good was safe, that obedience was intelligent, and that waiting your turn was maturity. And that was the opening shot fired against your judgment. Because while you nodded, you learned to lower your head. While you smiled, you learned to give up ground. And while you sought approval, the world learned it could walk over you without resistance. Thus, goodness was not born as a virtue, but as a program, as a doctrine implanted to create docile soldiers who never question orders. You did not fail. The strategy you were taught failed. Because on no battlefield does the kindest survive, only the most aware. The problem is not that you want to do good, but that you confused morality with power and politeness with advantage. You grew up believing that good behavior would protect you, when in reality it only made you predictable, and the predictable do not lead. They are used. The system does not reward goodness. It rewards utility. If you observe coldly, you will see that the system does not reward intentions, but results. And it does not elevate noble hearts, but useful pieces. While you explain your motives, others occupy positions. While you justify decisions, others consolidate control. The modern world is not a moral classroom. It is a tactical board where every move must generate advantage. Those who do not apply pressure, direction, or value are discarded without ceremony. Here, goodness is irrelevant if it produces no effect, because power does not listen to excuses. It measures impact. Success does not respond to who you are, but to how necessary you become. And when you understand that utility creates protection and position creates respect, you begin to see with brutal clarity that being good without being useful is not virtue. It is operational weakness. And weakness in any war, financial, social, or emotional, always ends up paying the same price. Good intentions do not stop attacks. When you don't attack, you become the target. There is an invisible moment in every war when not firing stops being prudence and becomes a signal. That moment arrives when you choose not to inconvenience, not to confront, and not to draw a line. Because in that second, the environment understands that your perimeter is open, and open territory is always occupied, never respected. In real combat, the enemy does not ask about your intentions. They measure your reaction. When they find none, they assume superiority. While you call your silence peace, others translate it as operational permission. Not attacking does not keep you safe. It makes you predictable. And predictability is a direct invitation for enemy advance. No one goes around someone who does not defend. No one negotiates with someone who does not resist. And no one protects someone who can be crossed without cost. Kindness without limits is a power leak. Every unnecessary concession, every misplaced gesture of understanding, every "it's fine" when it isn't, is a leak of structural power. In strategy, what matters is not how much you give, but how much you can hold. When you give without friction, you teach the environment that your energy is cheap. Limitless kindness does not build alliances. It builds dependency in others and erosion in you. That erosion is invisible at first, but it accumulates. And when you try to regain control, you have already trained everyone to demand more. The serious operator understands that being firm is not being cruel. It is being clear. And clarity cuts deeper than any speech, because it defines what can be crossed and what cannot. Those who do not define boundaries end up obeying rules they never chose. Being good made you predictable. Predictability is the prelude to defeat. Every military doctrine carries a central warning. Never repeat patterns under observation. You repeated them all because you always react the same way, explain the same way, forgive the same way. The emotional consistency you believed was a virtue became an instruction manual for anyone who wanted to get ahead of you. When the enemy knows how you will respond before you respond, they are no longer fighting you. They are managing you. At that point, your effort no longer matters. You always arrive second. Predictability does not calm the environment. it empowers it. It removes risk. And when others take no risk with you, they use you. The enemy loves the good one because he never surprises. No one fears the one who always warns, always explains, always seeks consensus before acting. Warning removes impact, and without impact, there is no control. And if this perspective resonates with you, if you understand that winning is not luck, noise, or speed, but strategy and mental control, then continue with the secret code of those who always win. Because consistent victory is never accidental. It is learned, trained, and executed. The good one announces his frustration, announces his fatigue, announces his limit, and by announcing it, he neutralizes it, because he allows the other to prepare, excuse themselves, or go around him. In war, the one who surprises dominates, and the one who dominates does not need to justify. When you explain yourself, you lose the most valuable asset of all, the other's uncertainty, because nothing unsettles more than not knowing when, how, or from where the move will come. You confused morality with strategy. Not everything that is right is tactically intelligent. The fatal error of the well-intentioned is believing that righteousness guarantees results, when in reality it only guarantees momentary inner calm. The world does not reward intention, it rewards position. In war, the most just does not win. The one who controls terrain, tempo, and resources does. When you choose what is right without evaluating context, you fight with a self-imposed disadvantage. Morality without strategy is not virtue, it is unnecessary sacrifice. And no one builds power through constant sacrifice, because repeated sacrifice teaches others that you will always be the one who pays. Power does not evaluate values, it evaluates structure. Power does not ask whether you are good. It asks whether you can withstand pressure without collapsing, whether you can hold decisions without explaining yourself, whether you can maintain form while others shake. Every time you justify a move, you reveal operational insecurity. Explanation is a crack, and every crack gets exploited. The operator does not abandon values. He protects them with structure, because without structure, values govern nothing. They only comfort the one who lost position while others advance. The world does not reward sacrifice. It rewards results. No one remembers the one who sacrificed himself. They remember the one who won. There is a lie, repeated as false doctrine, that giving more, enduring more, and yielding more will make you valuable. In reality, it only makes you functional to other people's plans. In any power structure, constant sacrifice does not raise rank, it fixes role. And the role of the one who always endures is that of a shock absorber. In war, the soldier who exposes himself without orders is not a hero. He is an operational loss. The same happens in modern life when you demand more from yourself than you demand from the environment. You teach others that your depletion is acceptable. The system does not reward the one who breaks, it replaces him. And when you understand this too late, you have already given away time, energy, and respect with no receipt in return. Unnecessary sacrifice is bad strategy. The operator does not sacrifice himself. He positions himself. He understands that sacrifice only makes sense when it buys advantage, not when it soothes guilt. Every time you do more than required to prove your worth, you confirm insecurity. And insecurity has a scent. It is detected and exploited. In strategy, every effort must produce control, information, or territory. If it produces none of these, it is useless wear. The world is not unjust for ignoring your sacrifice. It is efficient. It prioritizes those who know when to push and when to conserve strength. And the one who never conserves strength never leads decisive offensives. The good one always ends up negotiating from below. When you need to be liked, you have already surrendered power. The desire to please is a tactical weakness because it turns every interaction into a covert negotiation where you pay before knowing the price. And the one who pays first never sets the terms. In combat, the one who seeks the enemy's approval is already disarmed. In life, the same happens when you filter decisions to avoid discomfort. The environment learns that your priority is not advancement, but acceptance. Acceptance does not build authority. It dilutes it. And when everyone feels comfortable around you, it is because you pose no strategic threat. Power always lowers the price of the compliant. The human market works like any other market. What is abundant loses value, and the compliant are always available. When you say yes by reflex, yield by habit, and explain to soften impact, you become predictable and cheap. The serious operator introduces selective friction, not to provoke, but to filter. He understands that those who cannot tolerate limits do not deserve access. Negotiating from above requires discomfort first, silence after, and movement last. Those who cannot endure that order always sign agreements that benefit others. You confused humility with submission. False humility trains others to dominate you. Humility, when misunderstood, is not a virtue. It is fear in camouflage. It reduces your presence to avoid friction. And in a competitive environment, reducing presence means disappearing from the strategic radar. In war, lowering your profile without reason does not protect you. It makes you irrelevant. And irrelevance is dangerous because it removes the cost of enemy attack. When you minimize achievements, hide capability, or shrink yourself to avoid standing out, you teach the environment that it can push you without proportional response. The operator does not shrink, he regulates. The strategist does not need to prove himself, but he does not hide either. He controls his projection, chooses when to advance and when to observe, and never confuses silence with submission. True humility is internal, not performative. It shows itself in the absence of explanations, not in reduced impact. When you regulate yourself, the environment does not know how much you can do, and that uncertainty generates automatic respect. No one pressures what they cannot measure. Power is not announced, it is felt. And when it is felt, no one asks whether you are a good person. Empathy without limits is a power leak. When you understand too much, you neutralize yourself. It seems noble to put yourself in everyone's place, but in strategy, that habit disarms you. While you analyze others' emotions, you postpone your own decisions, and constant delay erodes authority. In war, one does not evaluate the enemy's emotional state before advancing. One measures response capacity. The same applies in modern life when you justify others' behavior to avoid confrontation. Excessive understanding teaches the environment that your limits are flexible. The operator observes without absorbing, understands without carrying. Empathy does not require surrendering ground. Once you start carrying others' emotions, you lose tactical clarity, and clarity is the first requirement of command. Power does not absorb emotions, it administers them. Unregulated empathy turns you into the emotional container of the environment, and the container always fills before the source, because others unload while you hold. The strategist does not reject emotion, he keeps it at operational distance. He understands that whoever governs from emotion governs from reaction. In any power structure, the one who remains stable while others fluctuate becomes the automatic reference point. This is not coldness, it is discipline. Because whoever fails to regulate sensitivity ends up negotiating from guilt, and guilt is an invisible chain others learn to pull effortlessly. If everyone feels comfortable around you, you are not a threat. Others' comfort is often paid for with your stagnation. When no one is unsettled by your presence, when every interaction flows without friction, something is wrong with your position. Because real advancement always generates resistance. In any offensive, terrain only yields under pressure. Life works the same way. If you never tension the environment, you are not moving anything that matters. The desire to maintain constant harmony turns your behavior into a social shock absorber. And the shock absorber never leads the march. It only absorbs impact so others can advance. The system appreciates your softness, but it does not follow you. Respect is born from well-directed discomfort. The operator introduces discomfort without noise, without drama, without explanations. He understands that respect does not come from likability, but from the anticipation of consequences. When others adjust their behavior before speaking to you, it is not because you are pleasant. It is because your presence alters calculations. In strategy, this is called environmental control. You do not need to give orders. It is enough to exist in a certain way. Those who create discomfort with coherence, raise standards, redefine limits, and force the environment to rise or step aside. When that happens, you no longer need to be liked because you occupy real space, and real space is not negotiated. Saying no is a power maneuver. The automatic yes is early surrender. The moment you say yes without evaluating is the moment you give up command. An impulsive yes reveals fear of losing access, and fear is information the environment uses to push you. In war, accepting terms without reconnaissance is tactical suicide. In modern life, the same happens when you commit just to avoid discomfort. The operator listens, pauses, calibrates, and only then decides. He understands that every yes creates a future obligation, and every obligation reduces mobility. Mobility is life. Losing it means becoming fixed to someone else's objective. A clean no redefines hierarchies. A clear no, without explanation or justification, is not aggression, it is positioning. When you hold it without excuses, you force the other to recalculate because you break the expectation of automatic access. The strategist does not say no out of rebellion. He says no to protect resources, time, and focus. In any structure, the one who can refuse without consequences occupies a higher rank. The one who needs to explain his refusal has not consolidated it yet. Saying no is closing flanks before the attack arrives. Emotional control is tactical superiority. The one who reacts fights at a disadvantage. Immediate reaction looks like strength, but it is exposure. It reveals sensitive points, hidden priorities, and tolerance thresholds. In combat, provoking a reaction is opening a breach. In the modern environment, every stimulus aims to do exactly that, knock you off center. The operator does not repress emotion. He keeps it under custody. He knows that whoever loses control loses rhythm, and whoever loses rhythm fights on the enemy's tempo. Sustained calm is not passivity. It is dominance of the internal terrain. Stability intimidates more than volume. Nothing disarms more than someone who does not fluctuate. Emotional unpredictability creates fear. Stability creates respect. When you remain steady under pressure, the other projects scenarios they cannot confirm, and that doubt wears them down. Modern power does not shout, it manages energy. The one who does not need to raise his voice has already secured the position. Stability turns every interaction into a calculation for the other, and when others calculate before speaking, you already control the exchange. Stopping being good is reclaiming command. This is not about becoming cruel, but precise. Stopping being good does not mean attacking without reason. It means stopping the giveaway of advantage. In war, precision outperforms brutality. Life works the same way when you coldly choose where to invest energy and where to close ranks. The operator does not seek to harm, he seeks to advance. To advance, he removes habits that slow him down, explaining himself, yielding by reflex, softening decisions. Kindness without structure is an open door. Precision turns it into a fortress. Command begins when you stop asking for permission. When you understand that no one is going to authorize your growth, you assume full command of your movement. The world does not punish those who advance with coherence. It punishes those who hesitate while advancing. Reclaiming command means acting without asking for understanding, deciding without asking for applause, and bearing consequences without dramatizing. The operator does not need to be understood. He needs to be calculated. And when you are calculated, others adjust their behavior. Nothing ends here. The position is simply consolidated. from a place you no longer retreat.